Percy had another one of those weird flashes. Like this was somebody he should know. The kid was almost as pale as Octavian, but with dark eyes and messy black hair. He didn't look anything like Hazel. He wore a silver skull ring, a chain for a belt, and a black t-shirt with skull designs. At his side hung a pure black sword. For a microsecond, when he saw Percy, the boy seemed shocked. Panicked, even, like he'd been caught in a searchlight. "This is Percy Jackson," Hazel said. "He's a good guy. Percy, this is my brother, the son of Pluto." The boy regained his composure and held out his hand. "Pleased to meet you," he said. "I'm Nico D'Angelo." Chapter 5, Hazel. Hazel felt like she'd introduced 2 nuclear bombs. Now she was waiting to see which one exploded first. Until that morning, her brother Nico had been the most powerful demigod she knew. The others at Camp Jupiter saw him as a traveling oddball, about as harmless as the fawns. Hazel knew better. She hadn't grown up with Nico, hadn't even known him very long, but she knew Nico was more dangerous than Reyna or Octavian, or maybe even Jason. Then she'd met Percy. At first, when she saw him stumbling up the highway with the old lady in his arms, Hazel had thought he might be a god in disguise. Even though he was beat up, dirty, and stooped with exhaustion, he had an aura of power. He had the good looks of a Roman god, with sea-green eyes and wind-blown black hair. She'd ordered Frank not to fire on him. She'd thought the gods might be testing them. She'd heard myths like that. A kid with an old lady begs for shelter, and when the rude mortals refuse, boom, they get turned into banana slugs. Then Percy had controlled the river and destroyed the Gorgons. He'd turned a pen into a bronze sword. He'd stirred up the whole camp with talk about the Graecus, a son of the sea god. Long ago, Hazel had been told that a descendant of Neptune would save her. But could Percy really take away her curse? It seemed too much to hope for. Percy and Nico shook hands. They studied each other warily, and Hazel fought the urge to run. If these 2 busted out the magic swords, things would get ugly. Nico didn't appear scary. He was skinny and sloppy in his rumpled black clothes. His hair, as always, looked like he'd just rolled out of bed. Hazel remembered when she'd met him. The first time she'd seen him draw that black sword of his, she'd almost laughed. The way he called it Stygian iron, all serious-like. He'd looked ridiculous. This scrawny white boy was no fighter. She certainly hadn't believed they were related. She had changed her mind about that quick enough. Percy scowled. I know you." Nico raised his eyebrows. "Do you?" He looked at Hazel for explanation. Hazel hesitated. Something about her brother's reaction wasn't right. He was trying hard to act casual, but when he had first seen Percy, Hazel had noticed his momentary look of panic. Nico already knew Percy. She was sure of it. Why was he pretending otherwise? Okay, we'll stop there. "I know you." "Do you?"